we've had at least 4 reports of some type of glut. In August, we heard of a tomato glut in Asante Akim. The MP had to come in to appeal for government to buy tomatoes and onions. Almost 2,000 cases. Then we're told there was a maize glut in some parts of the country, which occasioned the government to again order a buffer stock company to buy. Last week, our Eastern Regional correspondent went to a place in the region. There was a rice glut. We also told there's an egg glut. Yet food prices are not coming down. Now the thing that worries me about the egg one is that the poultry farmers are complaining that they don't even have the feed is too expensive. So a poultry farmer has sent me a breakdown of his costs. So I just wanted Francisca to read it to see if it can make sense of the situation for us.
Certainly, and here's the message. He says, good morning, Bernard and team. As a poultry farmer, this is what I can say about the current egg situation. Feed supply from my regular supplier or middleman at Ashiamang Timber Market as at September 15th. 50 kg maize, 285 Ghana cedis. 50 kg soya, 370 Ghana cedis. However, I got a direct link to a maize supplier from Upper West at 235 Ghana cedis per 50 kg, delivered yesterday. I had to pay 20 Ghana cedis per 50 kg bag as transportation costs. With soya, if I'm able to take 200 bags or more directly from the warehouse, I will pay only 350 Ghana cedis per 50 kg. So eggs production cost is still high due to transportation and middlemen. Now he comes to egg sales, and he says currently I sell eggs at the following prices from the farm. Large 56 cedis, medium 51 cedis, small 48 cedis, and pallets 43 cedis. My survey with the bulk buyers from my farm indicates they sell eggs at large for 64 Ghana cedis, medium 57 Ghana cedis, small 55 Ghana cedis, and pallets for 48 Ghana cedis.
Hold on. So a farmer, supplies large 56.
56.
The bulk buyers sell at 64. He supplies the medium at 51.
Yes.
The bulk buyers sell at 57. He supplies the small at 48. The large buyers sell at 55. And then there's the pallets or the pullets. He sells at 43. They sell at 40. So at least 5 CD markup or more.
Yes, averagely. So the above indicates overpricing because the driver delivers them at 1 CD per crate. I do add a crate or 2 depending on quantity one picks for possible cracks. So it's not expected that they add more than 3 Ghana cedis per crate. So you see another possible reason for the low sales of eggs.
So this is what's happening. He's saying I supply large at 56. The driver charges 1 CD, so 57. He even makes provision for broken eggs. How come the large buyer is supplying to the retailer at 64? So the large buyer is getting at least 7 CD per crate. It's too much. Which is why the thing is expensive. So it's not even transport, because it says the transport is just 1 CD per crate. So the problem is
it's more the large buyers.
The pricing culture. It's the pricing culture of the large buyers, because they have the money to buy in bulk and they control the market. So I think I think we overblame transportation, because using this egg case study, fine, we are not saying that all the transportation costs are the same everywhere, but this guy's farm is somewhere in Accra. He gets his feed from either partly Ashaiman and partly from the north. He says he does 1 ton of feed a day. That's 12 bags of maize, 3 bags of soya per day. The rest is wheat bran, shells, and concentrate and additives. All right. The issue of why we can't do feed in Ghana is a different question. But for me, this case study tells me that to really get to the bottom of food price hikes, the bulk buyers are the guys doing this. So maybe government must go back and start becoming the bulk buyer. Maybe that's the only way to solve it. What do you think?
Well, maybe we are trying to oversimplify a complex situation. Don't forget that the bulk buyer is also a distributor. because it's not a one-to-one function in terms of how they do their distribution. It's one-to-many. And that's a logistical logistics management issue, and that involves transportation as well. You know, regardless of how you look at it, you can't take away the component of transportation. And for them is the business of logistics, and so their overheads are all contained in the markups that they put there. Question: Would government be able to plug in the holes? The answer is yes and no. Government can do it, but it will come at a cost, and that will not be fair to the market. It won't be fair to the market. But if it's an interventionary approach to solve a particular situation, yes. But for the longer term, I think we should look at solving the elements of that supply chain, especially transportation. You know, we are still doing road transport, and you can't solve your agric problems with road transport. Never ever. It won't happen until we get into rail transportation. So long as we spend money building roads and repairing roads, it will come at the expense of agriculture. That's where we are. Now, the story says that there's food glut. It's not glut. It's not.
Is it isolated?
It's not glut. Glut simply means that there's excess supply over demand. But in this case, it is regular supply. But what has happened is that people are unable to access. You see, people. So, can we fix
That.
what is stopping people from accessing? Then we can talk about. I mean, glut gives an erroneous, picture, as if suddenly harvests have gone high, volumes have gone high, and still the market is not able to consume.
So I want to add some meat to your points and come back to challenge something. So my egg farmer sells the large crate at let me get the amount again. He sells the large crate at, I think, 56
To who?
to a bulk supplier.
Where? In the farm.
No, he sends it to them.
Okay, so who covers the cost of transportation? Let's
I'm
assume
coming,
that
the
he
farmer.
does. Okay.
Yes, and no, not the farmer, the buyer. And the buyer has 1 CD per crate. That's what he said. So he says that I give it to him at 56, and then he expends a CD per crate. A CD per crate, right? So I sell it to him at 56. He expends a CD per crate, and he sells as a bulk supplier at 64. Now, a listener who is a retailer says she lives at Tantra, and she buys that crate for 75. So I'm assuming it's a large crate. Now, and this farmer, I know his farm. It's in Accra, around Doyumu area. So let's assume it's this Doyumu farmer who supplies to a large distributor at Achimota, and Achimota one sells to Tantra. I just want to look at the price markup. 56 from farm that he gives to the bulk supplier. The bulk supplier spends a CD per crate. So let's say maybe it's costing 57 or 58. Calm
down. A CD per crate to do what?
For transport.
Okay.
That's what he pays to the driver.
Okay, per crate.
Yes.
To take it to, let's say, their storage place.
Good.
Okay.
So it's moved from 56 to 57, 58. Now this bulk supplier
Now moves it to 64.
64. Okay. And now my retailer is buying at 75.
From who?
From the retail shop. So let's go through this. From Doyumu to Achimota. I sell it. The person spends 1 CD to buy. This Achimota distributor may sell it to a retailer at 64.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And now the retailer is selling it to the end user at 75.
Yeah, that's regular.
Oh, Sam, from 56 to 20 CD.
No, you see, and I'm saying that let's look at it from the logistics point of view. I'm not saying that this is how we should do it. I'm only trying to explain that the farmer, once the eggs leave the farmer's farm, breakages are not his concern.
He actually says he adds 1 or 2 crates for breakages.
I mean, if you have a truckload of eggs, definitely, some are going to go off.
Let's talk to the Agric Minister, and then I'll come back to you. Good morning, Honorable Eric Opoku, Minister for Agric.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us. So, in the past 3 weeks, we've read 4 stories about supposed gluts.
Yes.
Tomato in Asante Akim Central, maize in a couple of places, rice in Odankwanta in Eastern, and in August, eggs in some parts of the country.
And several other places.
Very good. Now, what is concerning for us is twofold.
Yeah.
Why are there these isolated gluts? Is it that there's overproduction, or there's a question of lack of ability to buy, or transportation and lack of storage? What, in your view, is accounting for these reported gluts of these products?
Thank you very much, Bernard, and let me greet your cherished viewers. In fact, it is not isolated. It is nationwide. In all the production centers, that is what we are experiencing. As I speak with you, I'm returning from Bebiani to Kumasi. And it's the same situation. The rice farmers are complaining. They are produced in quantities beyond the market there, and they are not getting buy-in. In a Sunafo side, in my own constituency, the youth that participated in the Feed Ghana program came to me that they are harvesting the rice in quantities, and they are looking for market. So it is not the case that we are recording isolated, situations or incidents. But what is happening now, it is a nationwide bumper harvest that Ghana is experiencing. Now, what has accounted for that? Simple. We launched what we call the Feed Ghana program. The first leg of the Feed Ghana program is a campaign for mass participation in the program. We campaign that individual households must have backyard gardens. We campaign that secondary schools must have school farms. And then from the beginning of the campaign up to today, we have on record 129 secondary schools participating. We also campaign for churches and faith-based organizations to also participate in the program. We have records of churches participating, some issuing instructions to their branches to take advantage of the fertile soil of our land to also produce something. We have also advocated that state agencies must also engage in the program. They are all participating. And you must understand that the agricultural space is dominated, it's entirely private sector led. And so when government creates that congenial atmosphere for the private sector to take advantage of, certainly we are likely to see some of these things. And let me agree that this year, the weather has also been very, very favorable. And so the result of all these things should be bumper harvest, which we anticipated at the beginning of the program. And that was why we made allocations to the National Buffer Stock to get themselves ready to procure the excess, mop up the excess produce from the market, store them, and release against emergencies. Now, your question relates to the price, eh? I think you asked about the price.
I'm not even gotten to the price yet. First, I wanted for you to establish that there was actually a nationwide glut, because I have just read 4 stories. Now you are saying
that one is not contestable. It is something that nobody can contest. No. Because, Bernard, you know we have 2 farming seasons. In the southern sector, they start their farming season from March, and then they harvest around this period. The northern sector, they start their season from May, June, and then harvest November, December. What we are seeing now is just the harvest from the southern sector. Very soon, the northern sector harvest will kick in, and then it is going to be serious.
Well,
the figures we have indicate that the number of people participating in agriculture in this country has increased significantly. We have a lot of our youth participating, and even journalists participating, footballers, everybody. Agriculture is now the cynosure of our country. Everybody is talking about, and everybody is participating. So certainly, we are going to have some of these things happening. That one nobody can dispute.
Of course, I'm sure later on you will give us the figures so we will see how big the glut is. The second question, though, is if there's such a glut, why are food prices still so expensive? I think today we saw a story in the High Street Journal which says the basic cost of these food items is not coming down. So if there's so much overproduction, why are the prices still so high?
Now, let me explain this. The Ghana Statistical Service, in January 2023, indicated that food inflation, that's the rate at which food prices were going up at that time, was 61%. In September 2024, it dropped to 22.1%. In January 2025, it rose to 23.8%. In September 2025, it has dropped to 14.8%. Bernard, what other things are you looking at to agree to the fact that yes, food prices are coming down? But let me take this out so that people will understand me better. Now, when you go to the production point, the farmers are complaining that they were selling a truck of yam at 7,000 Ghana cedis. Now, when they started harvest, it reduced to 4,000 and it's now hovering around 2,000, 3,000 at the production point, the farm gate. Now, when it comes to the centers, the urban areas, where people don't produce, they only consume, the figures we are receiving is that the prices are coming down significantly. But there is one problem. Some of our people in the cities don't go to the Ghanaian market like Abobroshi and others. They shop from the malls. When you go to the mall, some of the food items you see there are imported. And the prices cannot be compared to the local food now because local sources are now cheaper than the imported sources. Then again, regardless of the fact that we have some middlemen, some people operating as middlemen between the farmers and the urban areas, engaging in profiteering, trying to enjoy abnormal profits, buying cheaply from the farmers, and selling at cutthroat prices to the consumers, the prices are far, far, far better. We are asking Ghanaians that we have decided to produce to feed Ghanaian people. Ghanaian people must also reciprocate our gesture by eating Ghana.
Okay, Minister, let's pause on the second point you made. If there's so much food, a lot of my listeners go to markets to buy food. Me, as I sit here, I don't buy from mall. We go to Medina Market to buy. We would have seen it. So if you say one of the reasons why the prices may be high is the choice of where to buy, I think most Ghanaians still go to markets to buy food. And if there's a glut, we will actually see it in the market.
If you go to the market to buy tomato, you appreciate that the price has come down. Because in terms of quantities, you see it. Some people came to my office and they were testifying to the fact that they went to the market and the quantity of tomato that they bought at that price, they've never seen it before. Even in onion, people were saying it. Plantain everywhere. I mean, I'm getting to Kumasi.
What about maize? What about maize and rice?
The price of maize has fallen so significantly to the extent that when it was 1,400 last year, now we are selling it at 500, 400. In some markets, in Techiman, Ejra area, the market people called. The farmers were saying that they are now selling below 400. And then we said, no, that shouldn't be. Then we should work to bring the price down. I have some colleagues, members of parliament, who are into the maize business. They procured the maize last year. They were keeping them thinking that they were going to get some profit, higher prices. Unfortunately, the price has fallen so low that the MP was in my office asking that we buy a bag of maize at 500. We said no. He said at the time he was purchasing, it was 900 per bag. But now, because he's not getting the market and the price is collapsing, if we can even offer him 500, he will be okay. That is last year's produce.
Okay, so how
and
come
we are now harvesting that of this year?
So, Minister, correct.
Mm-hmm.
How come poultry farmers still complain about the cost of feed? Is it that we are producing the maize that we eat and not the ones that the poultry farmers use? Because if maize is in such a glut, it should affect because maize is the bulk component of the poultry feed.
You see, we are now harvesting. And then the poultry farmers, what they use to prepare the feed, they use the thoroughly dried one. So they are still using the last year's produce, which they procured at that price. Now looking at what we have now, and the price at which the maize is being sold, certainly when they produce, next year, it will bring the feed down. And we are also coming out with a lot of strategies. We are not looking at maize alone as the only ingredient that can affect the price of, poultry feed. There are other things that we are looking at. And so when we are done with all the strategies we are putting in place, certainly cost of feed will come down. I engaged with one of the poultry feed producers. The company is located here in Kumasi. And the man said, looking at the price at which they are buying the maize and the facilities they have to dry and other things, they are going to reduce the price of the feed significantly. And we have even engaged them to produce for us and then emboss on them and Ngokon Kitinkiti feed so that we can distribute to people who are participating in the Ngokon Kitinkiti project. So, Bernard, let us first understand that we have not seen this before. It's a blessing to this nation.
Well, sometimes some things emerge. We must sustain it before we can start.
This year,
Minister,
yourself, you participated in the campaign.
We
look at the agri something that you did.
Yeah, the agri fair, not the agri something
that you generated. The advocacy that you have done on your studio.
Yes.
So this interest must result in higher production.
Fair enough, Minister. If there's so much production, how come farmers are not able to store? Why is there a storage problem? Because people are saying nobody's buying. In the chain, you produce, you put in silos, you process.
I agree with you.
How come they need it to be bought immediately? Because this is basic agriculture, right?
Most of our farmers, they don't have storage facilities. Don't forget that when you look at the farmer population in Ghana, more than 80% is peasant farmers. They produce basically to feed their homes and sell the little excess to enable them buy the few things that they want to buy. Subsistence farming. These people do not have the capacity to provide the kind of silos that will be sufficient to accommodate the production that they are witnessing. But at least in the villages, they have small means of, storing food. What we are saying that we are developing the entire chain. We are developing the entire value chain from production until it gets to the table for consumption. So when they have the excess and people are not buying, buffer stock must step in there to buy that excess and then store them against emergencies. Storage is a problem because individuals do not have. But those who are into commercial farming, they have the storage facilities. Then let me indicate to you, one of the farmers came to my office and said he wants to produce 30,000 tons of yellow maize. And he wanted assurance from me whether government of Ghana can buy that. I told him, yes, we are ready. If the quantity is available today, he should let us know.
All right.
Yesterday, he called me and said the quantity is available. And I've provided his number and details to the buffer store for them to move in there immediately to procure those quantities.
Minister.
So these are some of the things that we should anticipate.
Fair enough.
We haven't developed our agriculture to its fullest. We are still developing, and we have to do this together. But it's an indication that don't look at it as a challenge alone. It is also an opportunity for investment.
Very
if
good.
we don't have storage facilities, can Bernard and others advocate for interested business guys, prospective business guys to also participate in that area, put up storage facilities like a colleague of mine is doing in the Bono region? We can do that.
All right, Minister, two points, and thank you so much for your time. Last year, we had a dry spell, 2024, which gripped at least 8 of our 16 regions. So it means that our harvested maize for last year was much lower than anticipated. So we need to put this year's production in context compared to last year, because we had a dry spell last year and you had good weather this year and your government programs have increased production. We must look at the bump in production from the context of the dry spell last year, because last year was not a normal year. That's point number one. Number two, because of the dry spell, there was a lot of imports. In fact, one report says Ghana's grain imports are projected to rise to 67% in 2025-2026 to ostensibly make up for the shortage of 2024.
That is excellent.
Good. So if you are importing much more maize in a time where people are producing more, you know that somehow the imports are able to be cheaper than the local producers for some reason. So maybe one of the reasons why the farmers are struggling is that maybe for rice, for example, the imports are much cheaper, and therefore people cannot patronize the local one, and this could translate to others as well. So the question of the imports should also be seriously looked at.
I agree with you that last year, because of the dry spell, there were a lot of import of rice and maize into the country. But don't forget that last year the exchange rate was higher. So regardless of the fact that they were waiving taxes on those imports to make up for the shortfall, prices of those items are still high. They are higher compared to what we are harvesting now. Now, in the case of the rice and other things that you talk about, we distributed rice seed to our farmers across the country free of charge. It was a deliberate intervention to increase rice production. In fact, in all the communities I have visited, what they tell me is that the type of rice we gave them has been the best, and they want us to give them more. Now, and then also because of the campaign, I've told you earlier on that many young people, men and women, boys and girls, have participated in the space, and they are producing in those quantities. Today, I can confirm to you that the price of local rice is cheaper than the imported one in our market. But then, Ghanaians must understand this. We cannot continue to be moochers, trying to get everything free, borrowing and not paying. No. We must understand that nobody will come and face this country for us. We must do everything on our own. If you go to the market and you see local rice and then imported rice, and you choose to buy the imported rice, you are creating jobs in the country where the rice came from at the expense of your own people. If the jobs have been created here, your children, my children, grandchildren, neighbors, siblings, whoever will be employed, and we'll build the economy together. So it is part of the education that we are working on. But now, I also have instances where some of these importers have come to me, that they have the maize, they imported them, nobody is buying. In fact, they are losing their investment. Is it the case that we can do something about it? I told them, we are not in to buy imported rice. And so they should hold on. Right. You know, immediately we assume office, there was a case that happened. I've never shared with the media. Once you have pushed me, I will share with you. Ghana, as part of the measures to make up for the shortfalls caused by the dry spell, they had arranged with ECOWAS to borrow additional rice and maize. And so ECOWAS came to me that they wanted to lift the grains from Burkina Faso to us. But because of the political turbulence in that area, they are not allowed to even step there and then let alone moving rice from that country. And so they wanted to discuss with me how we can make out for the shortfall. I asked them to give me 2-3 weeks to do some consultations. I spoke to some of the churches, and one church invited me to their farms. And they told me that, look, these are quantities of rice that we are storing against emergencies. They had more than 40,000 bags in one area. And then they told me that this area, they have this quantity, that area, they have that quantity. So I shouldn't be afraid. There is no cause for alarm. I came back told the ECOWAS people that Ghana is not interested again. We don't need it. They should keep their 200,000 or whatever. We don't need it. And then I stopped them. Now, these churches have their storage facilities. Some of them, they have their storage facilities. And they are storing against emergencies. Some churches are buying their own produce. It will shock you to note that one particular church wrote letters to all their branches, directing them as to what they should produce for us to, overcome the challenge that we are having. I sent my team down there, and the report before me indicates that, in fact, we have a lot of grains on the ground. So the imports that came, at some point we truncated it. We said we are not going to issue a permit for people to import those things again. So yes, they came, but they're also struggling to get the market. Once we have ours, and ours is cheaper, we expect the rational Ghanaian consumers to tilt to that of Ghana for a lot of advantages, so that together we can solve the problem.
So I agree that these interventions are important, but you know that because importers have so much money, structurally the best way to fight this is to invest in local production so that the producers can produce at a lower cost to be competitive when compared to the importers. So for example, I heard you announce, I think a few months ago, that some Qataris were investing $1.5 billion in agriculture by November. Are they investing it in production? If it is, in what kind of food? And is it meant for the local market to consume or to export to Qatar? Because these are the things that we need to get clear. If the local producers can be competitive, then they must have enough finance to produce, to be competitive compared to the importers. But it looks like a lot of the money coming in, when the money comes in and they are investing because they want us to export these products to their own markets. So food prices in Ghana still remain high. So I just want you to use the Qatar example to convince us that you are attracting the right type of money into agric, and our local producers can be competitive so that no matter who imports, local production will still be more affordable.
Yes. I will not use only the Qatar case. I'm going to add another one. We have the Italian company called BF International. They are now in Bato. They are doing 10,000 hectares. They are producing rice, they are producing maize, they are doing tomatoes and soya. All that they will produce, everything is for the local market. Local market. In the Qatar case, they are saying that they have problems with food production in Qatar. So they want to invest in Ghana, support food production, have buyback arrangement with our farmers, and then they will buy and then export. So apart from the Qatar people who are interested in investing in the farmers, supporting them to produce, and then buying for export, there are other investors who are in here to produce for the local market. In the case of the Italians, apart from the 10,000 that they are doing in Bato, they've also come to Ashanti region. We led them to His Royal Majesty Otunfo, and Otunfo has given them another 10,000 hectares in Ashanti region so that they can also produce for the Kumasi and the market in Ghana. So we have both sides. But when you talk about investing in production to make food prices cheaper, Bernard, that is exactly what we are doing. First, we distributed seeds and fertilizers to the farmers free of charge. We are establishing what we call the farmer service centers in all the agricultural districts. In the farmer service center, we make available agricultural equipment in the form of tractors, plowers, combine harvesters, and others. Farmers will have unimpeded access to these equipment at an affordable price. Even if you don't have the money and you go to the center will release the items to you for you to work, and then when you harvest, you come and pay. We will have subsidized seed at the center, subsidized fertilizers at the center, essential services officers will be there for essential service delivery. We are giving them motorbikes to make them mobile so that they can help our farmers to adopt modern practices that are environmentally friendly, ensure sustainability, and then ensure that we protect our resources for the use of the upcoming generation. Then we have a center for farmers to be trained. Don't forget that we have also asked farmers to constitute themselves into cooperatives. Cooperatives that will be registered and considered as legal entities so that they can have access to finance. And we are putting in place an insurance scheme that will de-risk agricultural lender. And so, Bernard, all these things we are doing is to ensure that we reduce cost of production and make food affordable. Because when you look at our food security situation, it is only the affordability that we have to work on. And that's exactly what we are looking at.
Okay.
You increase production and then prices fall, the farmers will suffer. So you put in place a buffer to ensure that farmers are able to recoup whatever investment they have made in their businesses. So what you are saying is the point.
Okay.
And it's exactly what we are doing. Except that in this country, because of the kind of politics we do every day, we don't want to give products where products are due. But when it's about breakbacks, you see everybody attacking and everybody talking. Let's also develop that, mind to give products where they are due. So
Wonderful.
that people who are sacrificing and working for our state will be motivated and encouraged to work their butt for the cause.
As you've rightly said, we promote Agric. In fact, in November, we are doing the Agri Fair again to create a market for produce, and I'm inviting you using this medium.
In fact, when I went to Italy, I mentioned you there. I single you out for the special role you are playing in the agricultural space, for the time you took to mobilize Ghanaians, to create awareness, stimulate interest in agricultural production. It is a commendable effort that we say everywhere. We mention everywhere.
So you went to Italy without me and you mentioned me there. And you said you took me to Italy. Just you mentioned me there. So I was here and you were there. And you were mentioning me there. And you said you took me there to show my face.
Bernard, I didn't take you there, but I mentioned you there. It means that you are working for the people. Because even after you are deaf, your legacy will linger on.
Ayo.
And that is most important.
No, you're a big man. So I'll see you in November again to do part 2 of the Agri Fair. We will push Agric by all means. Thank you. That was Minister Eric Opoku. He mentioned me there.
Yeah.
Sky, you see the work. So I have fans in Italy.
You got a mention.
But I'm still here in Adabraka.
Yeah. Man, shout out.
Shout out.
No, but I like this guy. He was in the car. He was driving to Kumasi, and we called him that Charlie. This Agric thing is talking.
Baloski, I know that's why some other times Charlie
mention me there.
Because Charlie, you see, he's the minister. He's the driver of the function, and he's ready 24/7 to speak to the issues.
Call him now, Charlie.
You may not necessarily agree with everything he says, but the man is passionately addressing the issues. So you see some other ministries, they are quiet, they are suspicious of the media, That's what I'm saying. I heard people talking about the Sam George thing, You may disagree with him, but he's taking the thing head on. He's facing. No, seriously. It's the same thing. No,
combat blast. Agric plus Agama.
You have Agama.
To the premium.
I'm just saying that.
One may want to ask, what is the ministerial function?
Thank you.
At this juncture, one may ask,
what is the ministerial function?
the price reduction, no.
What
do you make of it?
No, Charlie. This is the biggest
You see, you are happy when you hear. Yesterday, I watched Emiliata. I watched her at the public accounts committee. I was just proud that this is the minister. That's all I'm saying. That
but let's come.
You are listening to Eric Opoku, and
he seems to know what he's doing. But
an interior minister too.
I just want to caution. Though that I feel like he said something at the end, which maybe if I had a chance to have reminded him, where he said, because in politics, he says politics affects everything. So I think we should also hasten slowly in rejoicing over the supposed success of the Feed Ghana, because it was launched in April. All right. So you can say maybe the first planting season is coming to an end, and therefore harvest is coming. But sometimes you see, 6 months is a short time. Last year was a very bad year for food. So if you have even higher production, I think it's very early. So because when we rejoice too quickly, we are not able to.
He's the one rejoicing.
No, yeah, but I'm cautioning. I'm putting it out there for the whole public, because I mean, I listened to him. He has his point, but you see, we want to succeed so badly that sometimes we don't take our time to study the trend. So let's wait for 2 years. Let's do 2 cycles, because this year he's also admitted the rains have come. Last year it didn't rain well. So let's do it for 2025, 26, and then we can say, because see, when we quickly jump and say, oh, it's working, you get it, it may not give us the right insight to make it sustainable. And I feel like in Ghana, it's not just agric. We are in a hurry to talk about what is working without really
evaluating the whole process.
And I think that for us to succeed in agric, which we all are so passionate about, we must hasten slowly.
Well,
I'm not trying to be a wet blanket.
He's
We must
picking
hasten
up
slowly.
the signals and then making conclusions as a result of what he sees. Now he says that he's been to the regions and he's encouraged by what he sees. No two ways about that. Now it's from farm to table. The challenge of farm to table that's all we are discussing. So if you, and that's why I say, look, it's not your typical glut, because the production or supply has not outstripped demand. People are being given alternatives to consume, because instead of buying Nasia rice at say 30 cedis per kilo, he's getting rice from some village from China at 5 cedis per kilo. You understand? Because of that, I'm not going for my Nasia rice. Is that a glut? It's not your typical, I'm just saying that there are bottlenecks that we need to escalate the problem,
and then
the
see other point there is that, so when the producers complain that the cheap rice from China is coming, the pushback will be that in years that we have expected local guys to step up, because the production is not consistently high.
That's the point you just made.
So for example, this year may be a good year, then next year may be low. So the importer will say, well, we want to import to shield against some shortage. So the local guy has to be consistent over, say, a 3 or 4 year cycle, so that people can say, look, local rice production capacity and milling and everything at a point where it doesn't make any sense to be allowing these imports to be coming in. But to the extent that the local producers are high today, low tomorrow, high today, low tomorrow, it will always give an incentive for someone to keep importing.
Aloski, it is not different from other countries. The difference here is that in other countries, they have figured out the chain properly, and they have built resource centers to close the gaps in the distribution chain. So the issue of storage, you heard the minister saying that, well, they don't have storage, so private sector should take over.
Yeah, they should
fair
invest
enough,
in that area.
fair enough. But it still doesn't solve the problem, because the perishability factors that attend to this situation is a big problem. We can't store our tomatoes for more than 2 months.
Can I ask you a question? Why can't government just build silos? Like, I think I read it in Agric in JSS that government should build silos, or Nkrumah builds. I mean, I read something like that. Is it like it's not a good thing, or they can't do it? Or is it expensive? Government to build silos.
I think
one region, one silo.
think some people try to build some.
I was going to ask that under the special government.
I don't think
there are some
they
warehouses.
It didn't work out. It didn't work out. You see, because the question of transportation has still not been resolved. The fact that you build a store, a warehouse in Kede in the eastern region, doesn't mean that it's easy for somebody from Achimewisa to bring his tomatoes to come and store in Kede, and then when he needs, he comes back for it. It's a transportation question. They are all in the eastern region. but it takes a lot to transport. And that's why I'm saying that for whichever government we find in place, if we don't resolve this real transport
But
issue,
why are you so sure it's real that will answer the question?
because that is what has answered the question in all other countries.
Because the real takes so long.
It does not take so long.
Real?
It does not take so
No,
long.
I'm not talking of. Wait, hold on.
As in
The
getting it
investment,
done.
the money to do real is serious.
Versus the investment we have wasted.
No, see, Simmons, this is the thing. You see, real can answer the large scale question. So from Tema to Mpakadan is long. But you just mentioned Achime, we start to Kede. That one is road.
No,
Because
no. You mean, it's a network of transportation systems. So it's real plus road. It's a mix. I'm not saying that that's the only thing.
Because you see, what I'm
So
saying,
far, we have only depended on road transport. That's why I'm saying that. That's why our pricing never makes sense. Because see, you go and take one truckload of rice from Nasia to Accra. You know what you've just done? You have taken the real cost of the rice plus the cost of transportation, the cost of maintenance, the cost of paying.
But you see, this is my counter proposal. Rail, the number of years it will take for rail to be properly rolled out and the amount of investment required, it obviously has to be a long-term thing.
It has.
It
But
cannot be
that's why it's normally modular. That's why it's normally modular.
Where modular means what?
That you create, for instance, if you go to the Takwa enclave, there is a specific rail network there. Okay, so you can build it here, build it there, and then interconnect. That's how it's done. And I'm not saying it's the easiest in terms of financing it, but I'm saying that to have a better, realistic feature in our produce pricing, we need to beef up our transportation arrangement.
I have another question.
Why are we not?
The other thing is that the other thing is that you talked about the issue of middlemen. Okay, we forget that in Ghana, middlemanism has been institutionalized through the market queens. They control the pricing.
They are even recognized as political parties.
Yes, they control the pricing. You don't dare. You can go and take the thing at 5 cedis and dare sell it at 5 cedis in a particular market. They will walk you out of the market. So there are exerting forces through institutions that we have allowed.
There's something I wanted to raise for you. There's a commodities exchange, and my understanding of the commodities exchange is that they also have to have storage capacity, right? So a storage capacity of a commodities exchange means that they buy in bulk and then they wait for seasons to change, and then their ability to store determines how they are able to sell. I think that maybe not for today's discussion, but going forward, we need to find out from the exchange what role they've played, because I have been part of this. I remember 10 years ago when they were set up. That was the promise of the commodities exchange. So if I'm hearing stories of a rice glut or a maize glut or whatever, I need to hear the commodities exchange in the conversation, but I'm not hearing. All right. So I'm not criticizing them. What I'm trying to say is that I want them to also come out and let us know how they see the market and whether the reason for their being set up has been accomplished, because it was part of the discussions around the lean season versus glut that they will come in and play that role. So they need to come in and step up. We've had 4 solid weeks of discussions about glut. We haven't heard anything from the exchange, and I don't think it's good enough. So if they are listening to me, I'm giving them a free pass next week, whenever, or send out a press release or something. You get it? Because you cannot just exist in name when there's a whole discussion around national food buffer stock, pricing, and we are not hearing from you. Meanwhile, it was set up at least with support from the state, if not owned by the state. Okay, we are going to take a break. Today is discussing on food, but we'll take a break and read some comments and a few other things to do. There appears to be a glut in the market, and yet prices are not coming down. Is the everlasting question for agriculture in Ghana. Here are some of your comments. 054-998-6996. Francisca.
Yes, and Kobe in East Legon says, good morning, City team. I buy the large eggs at 80 Ghana cedis at the retail shop. This is pure cheating and robbery. Here's another one. I buy large eggs from the market at 70 Ghana cedis per crate in Takrade. Such difference. Robert in Achimota says, good morning, Mr. Havler and team. These politicians should stop deceiving us. We all go to the market and the prices they talk about are not what we experience. Bernard, this minister is just a talker, a politician. He came with a prepared message and not to objectively listen and answer questions. He should be careful what he says. The media doesn't forget. Kwesi Aqua from Sakumono sends that. Nana in East Legon says, Bernard, please, can you ask the minister if the soybean export ban will be lifted for this season because of the glut? Here's another one. They should give us the list of all local rice so we know and buy. Na Amoko Triana, the first in Adabraka sends that. BB North Kanishi says, Bernard, what does the young man gain after going for a loan to farm and can't sell to reinvest the money? Please, Mr. Minister, we have heard so much of the good work, but what are your solutions to the problem of glut? Bernard, I produced rice last year in the northern region and moved it to Kumasi for milling and sales. Since May, it's been at the stores of the mills. My investment is locked up there and I couldn't even farm again this year. What is the ministry doing about the glut? Uto in Abeka is asking. Bernard, I buy a paint bucket of tomatoes at Akochi Junction for 20 Ghana cedis, yet same bucket is being sold for 80 Ghana cedis at Sakumono and Spintex.
Hey.
The difference is too much.
Hey.
Good morning. Honestly, I don't know what the Honorable Minister is talking about. How many of us buy from the mall? Anyways, I'm a young man, just landed a permanent employment and opted to take a transfer to the Bono region to start life, mainly based on the fact that lifestyle and food prices would be lower there. It's been 2 months now, and I'm beginning to think I made a mistake. The prices mimic that of Accra, or those of Accra. I mean, Kenke is 7 Ghana cedis and 5 Ghana cedis, and the size too, it's small. Oh. Banana, minimum price 100 cedis for about 4 or 5 pieces. The minister and the statistical services can say all they want, but we, the ordinary Ghanaians, are not feeling any impact of it. Hello, Bernard. Can you deploy Honorable Sam George temporarily to the Agric Ministry to deal with the food producers who don't want to reduce prices? Kwame in Dansoman is asking. Abdul Razak in Kumasi says, good morning, Bernard. A woman bought Kofi Brookman at 10 Ghana cedis without granite here in Kumasi. I told the woman this is the price of 2 balls of kenke, and the food price is indeed high. Let's start with the fact that Ghanaians are generally greedy people. People want to make profit off the bunch on very few products. How is there more supply than demand and yet prices are high? Simple. The simple answer is greed. Good morning, City. Our food stuff are being controlled by the market women and the market queens. Let the farmers take the produce to the market. The market queens will prevent them from selling it and at relatively cheaper prices because they want super profits. These market women go to the farmers and buy what will help them make profit as if there's no bumper harvest. They come to the market and increase the price to sometimes 10 times or even more. The ministry should create a system where farmers can bring the produce directly to those points and sell directly, and let's see what happens. If not, let's use the weighing system where same weight is sold across all over the country. Kofi in Kede sent that. Here's another. Hello, Bernard. Good morning to you and your team. Parents are buying books for their children, so it slowed down the buying of other goods. This is Sir Decent from Teshi Camp 2.
Thank you for your comments.